Hello, welcome to Hegemony Revealed. Gary, Sahana, my co-host, we're gonna jump into the madness that is being. You see, my eyes went madness. That is happening in the world today, as Gary's just said, the nuts and the bolts. No, Shahana said it. The nuts and the bolts are falling off of the veil, and we're either going in or we're freaking out. So I propose going in because we got enough freaking out at the moment. um, so when we were before we got on recording on this live, I asked we do our total normal check-in, and I said, he says, so much of the hegemony is being revealed right now. And I asked Gary, well, what do you give me an example? What do you mean? And so we were sharing some of those kind of things that we're noticing that are becoming more and more transparent and can no longer be what Shauna said, layered on with, fancy lipstick and makeup. It's not working anymore. And so what I see, especially right now in American politics, which I try to tone out sometimes, but the divide is so constant that they're trying to create in the US, LGBTQ, trans agenda. Uh, um, on one hand, Texas and Florida's madness is so beyond. I can't even get into that, but the fact that we're constantly pulled aside and distracted with things that really don't matter. And then I saw a video that just gave me such a mass clarity that, like, right now in Africa, there's the same divisionary tactics that the government uses by going into other countries and say, okay, you need to have these social norms like America. And I find it to be such a Hippocratic like thing they're doing, because right now in the US, trans people are being attacked left and right. It just came out of the blue. We've had RuPaul's Drag Race for like 10 years, 20 years now, right? It's not been an issue, but the religious right all of a sudden decide that they're going to attack that. And people are freaking out. I have clients who are trans, and they're like having crises from, all right, we fought for this acceptance, and we were there. We have TV shows, we're fun. We're just here to make life more beautiful and colorful and accepting. And now we can't walk down the street, you know. Um, that hegemony's power to create illusionary social problems in order to deflect and hide what's happening behind the circle. So the question was, why? Why is this happening now? Why are we now seeing so clearly all of these tactics that we couldn't see before? And it's not just us three. I've been having this discussion with a lot of people. So that's how I'm feeling about it. It's like, come on now.
Yep.
Uh, and you, Shahana, how's everything with you?
I think you've just reflected what is going on here. Uh, it's weird things that never happened in India before. Not at this
Mm,
level of weirdness.
mm,
People video recording women on the streets to harass them
mm,
randomly. Okay, Muslim women being persecuted just because they're Muslims.
mm,
Again, so if you look deeper, it's this constant attempt to polarize fragment and fracture society because, and that's what I feel, because social cohesion and community
Mm.
are very, very dangerous words for the hegemony.
Mm-hmm.
The
Mm.
moment people cohere and commune with themselves and with each other, hegemony is gone. You
That's right.
cannot polarize people who have decided to come together, who are creating movements, who are aware and arising. So you can only destroy by fragmenting, fracturing, polarizing, and creating these illusory tactics to prevent people from just caring, from coming together, from being curious, because so much energy is spent on saving yourself, where is the energy left to care, to, to be curious, to challenge, to really question? You're just surviving from day to day, and that's the point. Keep
Mm.
people in day to day survival mode. Let no
Mm.
one understand what big tech is doing. No, 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 because they are hand in glove with big oil. Big oil is
Mm.
hand in glove with big pharma, and all of that is hand in glove with the politics. And all of that is hand in glove with the big money flowing invisibly across the world,
Mm.
set on destroying planet A. But never mind, we don't have a planet B. We always have Mars, and Elon Musk will fix it.
I want them to leave. I say go. All of you, get on the
Please
ship.
go to Mars
Please.
and wherever else. Please go. The sooner, the better for us and the few
Yes, but
sentient beings left.
exactly. But why? Here's what I don't understand: the destructive nature of hate and all the isms is that they have to destroy what they can't have before they
It's,
go.
yeah, because
I,
capitalism is founded on that. If you look
yeah.
back in history, capitalism didn't just appear out of the blue. Markets and trade have always existed. Always. I mean, people have
Right.
traded and
Mm-hmm.
marketed and used different forms of barter system and money and whatever else. But
Hmm.
there had to be an accumulation which would force people out of their own subsistent living, which was happening in the UK when peasants were forced out of their land and everything
Yeah.
was, everything was what is the word, Gary? When everything was captured by the feudal lords and the church,
Yes,
Yes.
and peasants,
enclosure,
Yes.
enclosure. Yeah.
enclosure, the whole
Enclosure.
enclosure movement,
Mm-hmm.
Right.
and peasants were turned into subsist and into laborers, forced wage laborers.
Right.
And the
That's
more the
good.
peasants, the more the wages could be forced down,
Hmm.
because, well, they had to survive. And then they poured into the cities with the beginning of the industrial revolution. More
Hmm.
wage laborers created, more immigrants created in that very same country, never mind what was happening elsewhere in the world.
Hmm. Hmm.
And then a few people hoarded, accumulated, and that capital was sitting with them and growing on the backs of these poor people, the rest of the country, rest of the world.
Yep. Yep.
Oh my God,
Enclosures.
I've got like 96,000. Like, I need to. Right, I'm just going to keep it really, really succinct, which is unusual for
Yes.
Gary. Right. First things first.
Love you, Gary. Say
Love
First
you.
everything that you
things.
want.
First things first. Capital ism. I've never
Mm.
seen that word as an ism alongside
Yes.
racism,
Yes.
etc., etc. Capital dash ism. It's
It
just
is.
another way of conquering and dividing,
Yeah.
right? Like in this moment, I actually have heard you say that
Hmm.
capitalism and not just capitalism. It's easy to talk away. Is
Hmm.
capitalism is as destructive and divisive as racism and every other ism, sexism, right? That for me, I
Yes.
think is a really helpful frame to help the person that's scared about this conversation to go, oh my God, I'm being harmed by the system as well as the behavior. Oh my
Hmm.
goodness. Point one. Point number two was, and oh my God, Sahana, we used to be subsistent. Another word for subsistence is for me enough.
Yep.
Yeah.
When did
Oh.
When did we get away from being and
Yes.
feeling and having and communing around enough? So those two things right now in this moment, and so many more, are just really sparking.
Wow. Gary, I have on my mirror in my bedroom in red, vibrant red lipstick, I am enough. I am enough. And I am loved is in another mirror because I want that programming to go in me all the time because so much of this capitalistic society is teaching us that we're not enough. That to be enough, you need this car. To be enough, you need this dress. To be, it's so unsustainable as well. You have to create scarcity. You have to create pollutants and crap. You have to create problems to create solutions. It's so unsustainable.
Yep. Yep. So capitalism is basically creating a system of forced accumulation on one hand and enforced scarcity on another, deeply embedding it in the psyche so that you're constantly striving to be enough, to be productive, to be faster, speed, productivity, effort, all great words under capitalism. But productive for what? Towards what? More accumulation of what? Wealth
Mm-hmm.
in the hands of a few. For what? To
Mm-hmm.
destroy the rest of the planet. For what? Because a standing Amazon is not going to increase the GDP as much as a felled, logged Amazon. So it's better because GDP has to increase. For what?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So that entire construct has, piece by piece, if you deconstruct it, it was created with that whole enclosure movement. Then that
Mm-hmm.
enclosure movement was practiced at a larger scale on the colonies by colonizing the other countries, bigger enclosures,
Mm-hmm.
bigger enclosures with enclosure of human beings within those countries, human beings as resources, like capital, like land, like so labor is another capital, land, labor, another part of the whole resourcification of every goddamn piece on this planet.
Mm.
It's not
May
a
I?
natural phenomenon.
It's not.
It's magic.
It's all. There's another. I've got to. This is why I appreciate both of you and all of you out there. If you may be watching us or watching this back, this is the type of space that I believe we need, not just want, need to be able to see through the veil. Right? If I thought about any other need right now, it's spaces like this for all of us to be able to experience and explore together without judgment, without fear.
Mm.
Because one of the things I've wanted to say and try and have within my corporate role, which, as you know, is in the center of the extractive industry, it's in the belly of the beast, trying to have these conversations is part of why I'm here. I know that. But it's just this really, really potent awareness that mergers and acquisitions, right, is a very Western financial services based term that nobody questions. It's just the way we do things culturally.
Mm-hmm.
But there's not a single more colonial reinforcing action than to acquire another company and destroy their culture as you bring them into your culture as a
Ooh,
multinational company.
Colonization.
Is
yes, colonizing.
and then you literally catapult in someone from your culture to run the organization, no matter what their culture is, whether they're Brazilian, Mexican, Southeast
Mm-hmm.
Asian. If I can't imagine hardly any, I don't know of any multinational company, including my own, that hasn't sent in one of their people
Yep.
from the headquarters to
Yep.
run the country in a way similar to the country from which they are headquartered. That is
Right.
modern day colonialism.
And then they
Absolutely.
call it harmonization. That's another corporate term, harmonization.
Yeah. There's nothing hard. There's nothing harmonic about it.
Nope, nope. So there's this huge confusion between harmony, which is what a jazz band have. I mean, listen to Ella Fitzgerald. That's harmony.
Yeah.
And uniformity, like the military
Mhm.
uniform. Everyone has to be the same, stand in height
Mhm.
order in
Mhm.
school, back straight. So
Yeah.
uniformity and harmony are two different things.
You
Colonization strives for uniformity, but detests harmony because harmony arises from togetherness and care and community.
that and the heart, it's a resonance, it's a
Yep,
vibration,
yep,
it
yep.
raises things higher. One of the things that this just keeps screaming in my head is the lack of adaptability. Why are our colonial forces so maladaptive? Like, it's not that, they go in and they add value.
Nope,
They
nope.
pretend that they add value. No, what they do is they cut down vast, beautiful, harmoniously working parts of nature that have been balancing the ecosystems of this planet forever to make green grass lawns.
Colonial forces are like monoculture.
Yeah,
Nature is a rainforest.
yeah. You can't, you for what? Vanity. For what? Ego. I used to always say a green lawn in the United States is a waste of land, in my opinion. It's a waste of land. You could be growing vegetables. You could be growing flowers so that the bees can pollinate and make honey. There are so many things, but why is it this deep seated desire to destroy and leave nothing behind? What is the psychosis for that? This is what I'm always trying to figure out. There's something. I got into a discussion with a psychologist, of course, because they like me and him. We like to battle certification and not. I call it. I see racism as mental illness, and her response was, "That's unkind." As a person who has struggled with mental illness, I think that's unkind and anti Black. And I laughed and I said, wow, you've been indoctrinated, haven't you? Because that's what they would like you to think that I am saying. But in fact, what I'm saying is that there's a cause and effect for every single thing. People are not inherently anything except for curious, imaginative, and loving. I think those are the three inherent things that we come out of the womb with. And those things can be lifted up and celebrated, or they can be squashed and destroyed. So, as you can see in the education system, they're squashed and controlled because they need to create that uniformity that you just said, Sahana. So, what happened? And I love that you touched on the feudal European aspect of it because they were massacring each other, butchering each other in Europe.
Yep,
Sorry, Garry, for hundreds of
yeah,
years,
yeah.
hundreds, constant war, never end. The tribal feuding, the 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 basically colonialism within their own country
Yep, yep,
constantly. And with that, you had the church raping, molesting. You
yep.
had the inbreeding of royal family lineages to that created mutations that and create the mad king, they called him, right?
Yeah.
All of this has been happening. I see that as mental illness. Okay, there was something that cracked to survive. The coping mechanism therefore is to go spread out, steal, take, and kill everything in the path. Repeat.
and they call, and if you look at what Columbus did or Vasco da Gama, they called it discovery of India or America, whatever. They didn't discover that land. That land existed. There were millions of people living on that land already. They just
Exactly.
discovered or found a sea route to reach that land, much to the, much to the pain of that land and the people there
Hmm.
already. I mean,
Hmm.
so, no one discovered India. India was there thousands and thousands of years before Europeans. I mean, the Europeans were living in caves.
Yep.
Whereas, so the point
Yeah.
is, even by using words like discover and exploring and adventure, and
Yeah.
they exalt that grabbing, uh, grabbing mindset to a level of being adventurous, going out into danger.
Mm.
You didn't go out into danger. You were welcomed into a land by people who are hospitable, who
Yes.
treated you like gods. Because in India, we have a saying called Atithi Deva Bhava, means guests are gods. Okay? That's a
Yes.
Sanskrit saying. Atithi Deva Bhava.
Yep.
Guests are gods. So
Yep.
anyone coming to India would have been received like gods, because we receive anyone, a stranger coming to our house and knocking, will be given a glass of water, not shot down with a rifle like in America.
Yes.
Even
And
today.
Ubuntu in Africa is the same
Yes.
concept.
Yes.
So it's just been a constant manipulation of
Yes. And
kindness.
appropriation of those concepts now into the
Yes.
Western packaging and
Mm.
selling by, I don't even know who.
Oh, there's
Great.
several.
Or great. Yeah, I'm sure.
I can name 10 right off the top of my head, but I'm not going to go there.
And I'll add another 10 on top, Trina. But I just want to honour. So, Bibe has joined us. Nice to see you. Just talking about corporate colonisation disguised as harmonisation. See, and this is the thing, right? The more people we can get in this conversation. So,
Yeah,
Bibe,
we need.
come and join us sometime. Anybody else that's out there, if you want to be a
Yeah.
guest, let's have a conversation. Like, this isn't a 3 human show. We really
No.
want to, keep on picking these narratives, because I know, Trina and Sahana, I work with a lot of people that care. They've got families. They're trying to put bread on the table, but they are
Right.
terrified to even start this conversation in a corporate space
Yeah.
because of the hegemony, right? The fear of,
Yep.
if you speak up, the tall poppy gets cut down. If you show
Right.
up fully, you're going to get moved out. So there's all of the. We're just trying to model, aren't we, that it's okay to have, and in fact, we need again to have these dialogues. So I just want to thank you, Biba, for joining us.
Yeah. Thanks for joining us.
Thank
Yeah.
you. Yeah.
Yeah, it's crazy. Somebody said to me, thank you for confronting these topics today, and thank you for being fearless about it. I Fear is a useless unless there's a car coming at me and it tells me to jump out. I'm no longer increasing my cortisol levels for for nonsense anymore. You know what I mean? Like, I how can you fear something that's already crap? You know what I mean? Like, how can you fear lose? It's crap. It's sorry. I've known since it was crap since I was 5. This is stupid. I don't get it. Why did we do this? Why did we say this? I was the kid that the teachers could not stand
I'm
because
sure.
I would put the why in everything. Well, why is it this way when it would be easier to do it this way and this way and this way? It drove people crazy. But you know what? Just can't be indoctrinated, and then people try to put you in a box of crazy, because that's what anyone who talks outside of the narrative is called unstable, is called this or blah, 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 Black Panther movement, terrorist, you know, when it's just calling out the obvious mental instability or psychosis of this whole system. It makes zero sense. Even a child can see that.
Yeah. And anyone constantly grabbing and that constant lust for power,
Mhm.
for privilege, for money is a kind of sociopathic behavior.
It
It
totally
is,
is.
I mean, you cannot constantly lust for something. Ah, I mean, it's not even normal. It is,
Because they don't feel
yes,
enough. They
yes.
don't
So
feel
there,
enough.
exactly. So they need that external validation all the time because that enoughness does not exist within. They're so
Mhm.
detached from themselves that they are cut
Yeah.
off from the rest of the planet and all living beings, including themselves. So
Mhm.
for them, burning down the tropical forests of Amazon and burning down Australia and watching kangaroos die means nothing because they are dead inside. Only by coming alive within can
Yes.
I see the aliveness outside.
Yeah. Yeah. There's a struggle that I see. Oh, who's jamming? Was a particular demographic. I see the particular demographic. I'm being PC, pale scale, really struggling right now because this is the first time that they have, not the first time. I'll take that back. It happened, during those times, the serfdom. But then they were given a promise that if you do our bidding and help us take from everyone else, we'll give you a little bit of extra. Okay. And so many are holding on to that promise like it was real because that's all they have. But it was never real, it was an illusion. And so many people are waking up to this reality terrified. And I would be horrified to think that I've been contributing to this pain and the destruction of my world for so long, oblivious, just oblivious, you know? So I think there's, like I said, people are either checking out, going in, and I think our governments, global governments, are going nuts. They're grasping,
Yep, yep, yep.
grasping for the power that is going through the rest of their
Yep,
fingers. It's
yep.
just going out because they everybody's waking up and they're not
Yes,
going
yes,
back to sleep.
yes.
Not
It's
going back to sleep.
it's a massive thing over here, Trina. With that, of course, is the oppression and the right to protest, right, being clamped down on all around the world, right?
Everywhere.
Particularly, so bear in mind, literally 18 months ago, people
Hmm.
around here would have still said, "Yeah, we're not as racist as the US. We're not as our police aren't as bad as the." I'm not blaming anybody, right? We're talking about the
Right.
system
Hmm.
again.
Right,
The
system.
the, the system in the UK, because I actually ran in the local council at the start of this month in the local elections. I can promise you both, I can tell everybody watching this or watching this back, the level of oppression, division, fear from these people that currently have power, as it
Hmm.
does slip through their finger. I
Hmm.
completely agree, Trina. This is the death throes of the alligator in the shallow
Yep.
water, just going absolutely,
Crazy.
completely wild. It is literally like, and it's the most beautiful, horrible from it's going to be painful, but the most
Hmm.
beautiful thing to witness from the point of view that seeing the collective, back to where you started, Shahana, like this is the collective remembering, right? It's like, oh, we do have agency. Oh, my voice does matter. Oh, I can contribute to my community. I don't have
Hmm.
to just say yes, sir, no, sir, 3 bags full, sir. Like,
Hmm.
it's different layers, it's different levels, but concurrently, they together, I believe, is this incredibly potent energy that is literally, I keep talking about the genie on the bottle. It's literally
Yeah.
going, and it's about to go.
Mm. Mm. It's beautiful to witness, but being American, we just got this supposed the debt ceiling thing that was just been the media's been stuffing down everybody's throat. Oh, we need to raise the ceiling. Debt. There's only two countries that have this. It's Denmark and the U.S. other governments with common sense, which I thought Denmark was, but they also operate within a pale scale gaze. So they don't really need to worry about it as much as America, who's got all these different socioeconomical um, bodies of people living together and cultures living together. But this false narrative of scarcity is just beat down. It's like, oh, we're not going to be able to pay our bills. I was like, do you really ever? We have a credit and debt system. Okay, print some more money because that's what you've been doing for thousands of years anyway. Like, it's such an illusionary concept that, oh God, we're gonna not be able to pay our bills, this stuff like that. Wait, wasn't there like 3 trillion or $1 billion missing in the military funding that just like poof disappeared? Nobody knows where it is. You know, there's all these kind of smoke and mirrors
Yep.
constantly played out in the media to stoke fear, to stoke, oh my God, this is going to fall on the shoulders of the American people. When has it never ever been not on the shoulders of American people?
Yep. Yep. And it's,
When
if you,
haven't we paid the bills?
yep. And if you
And
trace back to 2008, who saved the banks and why? Where did the money come from at the drop of a hat? How
exactly.
did how did Goldman Sachs, should have been dead, suddenly come alive again? Lehman Brothers. Why? Why did you save them? So the point is, like you're saying, Gary, and this takes me back almost 3 years to a conversation I had with Samantha Sophia, brilliant person, someone I totally look up to. She was asking me, Shana, what do you see when you think of the civilization? And I had no idea what I was saying then. This was 3 years ago, one of my very initial conversations. And I still have that written down, so I remember it. And I said, I see an image. And Sam, being
Mhm,
Sam, she said, what was that image? What
mhm,
is the image that you see? And I said, I see this very dense forest and the civilization like a brutally wounded dinosaur thrashing on its last death throes.
mhm,
And it's about to crash down along with the forest.
mhm,
And the dinosaur stayed in my head. And I still remember I described it as slimy green
mhm,
and fungus covered. And it's
mhm,
thrashing so hard, it's bringing the entire forest down.
mhm,
And when I look back on that, I was reading that what I described about 3 years ago. I'm thinking of the dinosaur as the present civilization, bringing down its entire interwoven matrix along with it as it crashes down, pulling the
mhm,
whole matrix down with it.
mhm.
In that, and as we started this conversation, saying we can see the nuts and bolts, but because the matrix is on the verge of collapsing inward
Mhm.
with the narrative, which is the dinosaur, is the way I was seeing
Oh, yes. It's a dinosaur for sure. Old and antiquated, and what other words you could use to say outdated, whatever, just unsustainable,
it. Yep.
you know? It's just never, it was never meant to be this way. Never. It's inhumane. We all we do is multiply, get sick and die, you know? That's the cycle. I want a world where my son can thrive without fear, with community, with caring. I want egalitarian concepts. I want people who are creating this to die off like the dinosaurs. I was like, they live too long. Go away. They, go away. They're living too long. But the problem is that they keep passing down their ideology. And all we have to do, Gary, our first conversation is stop.
Mm-hmm.
stop participating. Can we do that?
And that's where agency comes back, right? The agency that we've been conditioned out of us. Suddenly we're like, oh, well, I can ask that question, that pertinent question. I can ask it. My job probably isn't going to be at risk, or my family isn't actually at risk, or I will find a means to put bread on the table. Like, it's like, I'm not belittling. Different people have different barriers, right? But the reality is, certainly my experience, and again, a very privileged one, is it almost, think of a time when you feared something. How often has it ever been as bad? Ever?
Exactly.
I can't remember a single time where it's ever as bad as the story I told myself that it would be. But I'm not sure. Maybe that's a privileged lens. I'm not sure.
No, I'd agree. I'd agree. It's just like the end of marriages, the end of any type of structure or relationship, you know? It's never as bad as we make it out to be. It could be bad, but it's temporary.
Mm.
Yep. Yep.
It's always temporary.
Yeah. And rather than drag on a dead story riding a dead horse, it is much better to spice it with dignity and elegance and give it the obituary, if you will, that it deserves. It has left us some good stuff. Let us keep the good stuff. Let us retain what is good. Let us retain what we have achieved and gained, the heights of human creativity from this story, and let go of the accumulated dirt and rubbish that also came along with it, and recreate from a perspective not of scarcity but abundance, and not of power hoarding but care and community, and not of privilege for a handful, but like you said, Trina, an egalitarian, a, a society, a world, global society, if you will, because today we can't avoid connectivity and we don't need to. Because of that, we are talking, right, from three planets, three ecosystem. Yep. What is the word? Yeah. Continents from across.
Continents.
I'm saying planet. Yeah. But yeah.
Sometimes I don't think I am, but it's okay.
So I think that exists and it's on the horizon. This has to die. We have to stop participating and giving this any further life support system. Like AI is acting as a life support system for this story. We have to
That's
stop
right.
using AI in the way the old story intends and start reimagining AI and everything that comes from the lens of abundance and care and community and everything else that makes for a good life.
And let's stop expecting the people who created the system to
Yeah,
change it.
no, they can't.
Let's stop that. Let's
No,
stop thinking we can beg them our
no, no,
way
no.
to do it. Let's stop doing that. We have to collectively do it together
Yes,
without their participation.
yes.
We just have to act like they don't exist anymore.
Yep, yep. Let them ride the
Okay?
dinosaurs. We can move forward.
Yeah.
All I'm going to say is like, wow. I know Biba joined us today. Other people will watch this back. I don't know about you two, but I feel like it's just like you said, it's getting clearer, and it's not getting clearer for me because of anything we're doing. It's actually the ability to stop, Trina, to breathe, and to allow ourselves to marinate in one another's perspectives with no judgment, no fear, no seeking to be right. This is a sacred space. This is a sacred exploration. I don't think we should shy away from that. Like this is, if there's going to be a normal in the future, I hope it's this.
Yep, yep.
Yeah. I want more people to come on
Yes.
this platform.
Yes.
I would love I would love people to come on and challenge sometimes some of the things that we're talking about, to hear a different perspective, so that we can pick and dissect what that means and why they think the way they think, and all those things, because we have to. This is how it's going to work. We're going to have to dissect. It's just like a counseling or a mentoring or whatever. Not that we're those things. What I'm saying is that in order to create a better version of yourself, you have to pick apart the things that keep causing you harm and the other people in your lives harm. You have to do it. And it's a painful dissection and defragmenting, as Sahana said. But it has to happen.
Yep.
So I implore more people to jump on this live with us. It would be so fun. But
I totally echo what you're saying, Trina. Let us expand this sacred space, the space of dialogue and fearless dialogue, so that we can collectively reimagine something very,
right,
very different.
right. No judgment.
That's
No
it.
judgment ever. I love spaces where you get to be you and reflect. But I, my lovely co-host, have to go on with a client.
Bye.
Thank you all for
So
joining
Bye.
us. Thank you,
Thank
Trina.
you.
Thank you,
Thank you.
Sahana.
Bye-bye. Bye.
Thanks,
bye.
everyone.
Bye.